Making the Invisible Visible, Black Women 365 Days of the Year. Each day will spotlight a remarkable woman whose story has shaped Black, British or global diasporic history. Women whose achievements are too often overlooked. Through these daily short films, we create a living, breathing archive of leadership, creativity, resistance and legacy. Let's begin.
My name is Mackayla Forde. I am a Black feminist woman and mother, poet, scholar and researcher. So at the moment, I'm just completing a PhD at Queen Mary University. My current research is the first of its kind in the UK. It's focused on Black women's experiences of anxiety and how we use poetry to navigate challenges to our mental health. For me and many Black women, poetry has been a mouthpiece that has allowed me to speak, particularly when I was younger. It's a form of therapy, particularly because of the absence of culturally appropriate healthcare. And it's just how I communicate and record knowledge that I embody. All of my practice is underpinned by an unrelenting desire to address the epistemic, physical, mental, spiritual injustices enacted upon Black women here in the UK and across the globe. So at the moment, I'm refining what I call the Black feminist poetic epistemic analysis framework, which is a mouthful. It does have an acronym, but essentially it's an original framework that I've designed to support the rigorous interpretation of poetry as a form of epistemic, like Black feminist epistemic knowledge production. And this matters for me because I work and study in a space that holds Western epistemologies as universal. And the consequences of this are that policymakers privilege dominant forms of knowledge making that fit systems. And those are usually biomedical. So things like stories, poetry, and other creative forms of knowledge are made invisible. We can see the consequences of that in how Black women are treated in healthcare today in the UK. And that is because our own accounts of what happens to us and how we perceive that and experience that are often excluded when evidence is generated. So my work in platforming poetry as a valid form of knowledge aims to expand what counts as evidence in policy and then hopefully creates the possibility for the creation of effective, equitable health policies for Black women and subsequently all women in the UK. There are so many, but these two in particular are really important to me. And the first person that comes to mind is Dr. Jennifer Randall. From her, I learned about Black feminist theory, and this is a white woman. So, I learned about Black feminist theory from her, harm reduction, and how the formation of policies translates into harms that are enacted on the most vulnerable people. I also learned that the language to describe my experiences, I learned that language from her, the language of how to describe racism, sexism, and her classroom was like a really safe space where I could kind of explore those things and my understandings of those without being gaslit or policed. The second person is Professor Marcia Wilson. I first saw her walking around on campus. The first thing I noticed about her were her long, flowing, thick locks. I have locks. And I'd never seen any academic on campus with locks. She was the first Black academic that I had ever met. She gave me wisdom that could only come from the lived experience of a Black woman in academia. And today, she continues to encourage and inspire me. So from her, I've learned the importance of reaching back as we climb. I've learned the value of mentoring and speaking the names of people in our communities in rooms that they may not be in. And I've learned about just standing 10 toes down in being authentically myself and not compromising my integrity. Jen, somebody, and actually Marcia, sorry, and Jen, actually, they're both people that I want to be like when I grow up. Throughout this video, I have been reading from a script because I am autistic and I have ADHD. which means that sometimes I find it really hard to hold knowledge that I need to communicate straight away. So I find that writing it down helps. I just want people to know that race, class, gender, and disability are not an indicator of intelligence. I have managed against all of the odds to be successful in academia and in life. And it just took for somebody to see me. So be a person that sees the diamond in the rough, open doors for them, seeing people what they are yet to see in themselves. That is what Dr. Jennifer Randall and Professor Wilson did. And they saw me and they nurtured me. And I really want people to understand the value in that. Okay, so acknowledging wins. Not something I'm good at. But I acknowledge my wins by buying myself all of the books I've had my eyes on. I've got a library now. A library is 1,000 books. I have that. I'll take myself to afternoon tea in places like the Savoy. And I just enjoy interrupting spaces that people like me wouldn't be expected to be seen in. That brings me an immense amount of joy. I think it's my ancestors laughing and having fun with that. My poetic inspiration, her name is Audre Lorde. And she said that caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it's self-preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. And my work, my identity, my dreams are all political forms of resistance. I work against an expectation of embodied capitalism that ties my productivity to my value as human. So I use rest as directed by Lord, which is as an act of political warfare against a system that wishes me gone. And I guess the lesson here for me, and what I'll leave you with, is that you can't pour from an empty cup. And that is to say that you cannot care for your community until you care for yourself first. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for today's story. Making the Invisible Visible is our commitment to ensuring that Black women's histories and contributions are recognised, valued and kept in daily circulation. Across 2026, we will continue to share these powerful narratives, 365 days of impact, brilliance and inspiration. Stay connected, join the conversation and help us champion the women whose journeys continue to shape our world. I'm Paulette Brooks and I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow for the next story.